All right, I'm live. Very happy to know about it too. Very happy to know about it. Turn that down just a hair. It occurred to me today as I was working out that I have not conducted myself in the manner that would, and a barn burner lately. The old hair raising, the hell raising kind of idea that put me on the map. You know, the kind of thing that where I call out stupidity for what it is. I give people a little bit of time to jump on and join in and become a part of something great. And then we'll get to burning the barn down because I got a thing or two to say. Not that it matters, but I'm going to feel better saying it. Good evening. How you doing? Glad you're here, Leroy. Yeah, I got a couple things to say about gatekeepers, about those individuals that would position themselves in a place, so to speak, as if they think they fucking know something to deny someone else entry or access to whatever it is they might be seeking. I have a great deal of an issue with that. I think it's a high crime. I think one of the greatest sins is to steal another man's faith. Now, to convert it is one thing, but to disprove it and call a man a fool is another. To sit there and say you're not qualified to practice this faith is quite another. When I see the uninspired and the uninitiated step up to the plate and say, well, you can't do that because I understand the heathen worldview and you do not, go fuck yourself. I mean, plain, simple, cut and dried. I don't think anyone understands that they have any kind of understanding or clarity. I see people today that that hate my guts, and I don't really give a shit if they do or not. See, I have a real kind of deal. If we get to a point where you're riding my coattails and I appreciate you, and then there's some kind of nonsense that goes on, or there's some kind of betrayal, or there's some kind of withholding of information, or there's some kind of thing that happens that says, hey, that I find out about, talking about me behind my back, or those kind of things, I simply won't fool with them anymore, right? It's because with fraud, with falsehood meet. It says it right in the have mall. It's not hard to understand. So when I see people that jump in there like they know something, using things that I've created and using information that I've put out there for all to use, I appreciate it. I wish they would use it in a manner that was more welcoming. Hey, babe, I'm fixing to go off on a tangent. You're going to love it. But I see these gatekeepers that jump out here. I see them all the time on social media. You can't do this because I say that this means this. You can't do this because I say that, well, this really means this. And this, therefore, I am the gatekeeper to your pursuit of spiritual undertaking. No, I don't have a first thought wrong. I know, but you want to enjoy it. Trust me. So this morning, as I was sitting at Sinead's house, I was thinking about a few things. I wrote this email. I'm going to go over it with you, and then I'm going to get into the meat of the matter. Those of you that have not subscribed to my email, I highly encourage you to do so. If you go to my page here, like, subscribe, and all that good nonsense. Not that I make any money out of it. I think it's just worth doing. All right. So start off real simple. Oh, hell, I didn't even change the title. Way to go, Bryan. I was distracted. The power and symbol of ceremony throughout time has been part of the ritualized aspect of our existence. So I think everyone needs to understand that. There's been no time in human history, and I don't care if it's Denisovian, I don't care if it's Neanderthals, I don't care if it's Homo sapiens or anything else. There's been ceremony involved. There's been some kind of ceremony to focus their thoughts on the ideas, the outcomes, the thought process, the realities that they wish to create, right? The changing of the seasons, the harvest, the hunt, all of those things, very simple things, right? Fertility in the hunt. I mean, can you imagine a time when people didn't understand that fertility wasn't something that was on us? It was something that was a blessing from the gods, right? So think of it, all the way back. Even if you look today at how animals communicate, species that are much older than Homo sapiens, they have ritual. They have processes. They have patterns by which they hunt, by which they understand the way to the cleanest water hole. The wonderful deal on elephants, of all things, that know how to find their way at night through the desert to find the best water hole using the stars. using genetic memory from matriarch to matriarch to matriarch. They all know the path, right? Birds, it's thought, use the magnetic fields of the earth to understand how they're supposed to fly thousands of miles. Suffice it to say, there's evidence all around us in this natural world that these animals use their interaction with the world to be able to understand it, use it, navigate it, and learn how to survive. Why would we be any different? The thing about us is we got confused somewhere along the way. I thought, you know what? If I own all that land, I can fuck them people out of a bunch of money because I can charge them to pay to live on the planet they were born on. Oh, shit, we got it made. Come on, right? The larger people get, you got to have organizations, so on and so forth. No one has a right to anybody else's effort, period. If someone spent the time, money, and skill to learn how to do something, nobody has a right to access that without paying a fee for it. But I digress. Back to the gatekeepers. My favorite one is, you're not a Viking. But let's get back to this ritualized aspect of our existence. Some are quite grand, such as Jesus on the cross. But there's an image here on my email that is Dionysus on the cross. And I'll upload it. No, if you want to see it, you got to subscribe. There's an image of Dionysus on the cross. And for the first 600 years after the founding of the church, the fathers of it railed against using the cross as the image of the church. See, then they were using the lamb as the symbol of the church. Why? Because it's a leftover from solar times, from beings, the people that worship solar deities. Because in the springtime at Easter, right, the return of the sun to the world, the return of life to the world, the spring equinox, the sun rises in Aries. Therefore, it is the Lamb of God. So in more ways than one, we begin to see these pagan influences, these symbols that at one time meant one thing, now mean something entirely different. Oh, maybe there's a pattern going on here. Let's double check. The procession of Nerthus, as it was written about by Tacitus in the 1st century AD, and Emil Doppler drew a fine picture of it, right? But we have the same thing still goes on today, right? We have the procession of the Madonna, Santa Muerte, the Virgin Mary, and many other iterations all over the world. Now, wonder where they got that idea. It's a pickle. See, the original procession was a cart carried by a goddess, that carried a goddess, Nerthus, who lived on the island in Lake Rugen, in that region that is known as Pomerania, right? Today it's around Poland, somewhere up in there. Romans knew it as Germania in later centuries. Right? The procession went throughout the villages, proffering abundance, fertility, and all of these great, wonderful things that spring represents. Easter was also a part of that. Though I'm not certain of her being carried in the procession. I do know that Nerthus was, and they got to the edge of the lake, right? And they sacrificed the slaves and the ox, and that goddess went to live on that island again for another year. What an amazing thing. Still being used today. But as tribes migrated across Europe, and that's how far ago this was. This was a long, long time ago. This went back many hundreds of years, if not thousands of years, before Tacitus even was a dream in his father's eye, right? A gleam in his daddy's nutsack, right? This was going on, but it migrated across Europe. People left and began to move. There was a time you could walk from that region of Europe and walk to England across the land of what is now known as Doggerland. There are thousands of underwater sites all through the North Sea. During the Ice Age, all that water was frozen and Doggerland was exposed. Who knows what wonderful history is buried there? But they took that idea of the goddess in the lake to England, and it became the Lady of the Lake. The pagan goddess that gives King Arthur the sword Excalibur. As they make the transition, and Beowulf does the same thing, as they make the transition from the painful pagan times to the brightness and salvation of the church and the one true, all that wonderful stuff. King Arthur, Beowulf, all of these ideas were transitions from pagan to Christianity, but the symbols and the ceremonies came with it. Why? Because your average man couldn't read Latin. So the priest at that time was indeed the gatekeeper to the new faith, and they made it as palatable as they could to the individual of that time, and the church began to grow, and the church began to make money, and the church began to rival the kings. But the lady of the lake gave King Arthur the sword Excalibur, and as Jesus says, he comes not to bring peace but the sword in Matthew 10:34. In his efforts to free his people from Roman occupation, he knew there could only be one leader that united the people of a time. A man must love one thing or another. He cannot serve two masters. And you will notice that it is a woman who brings life and the sword to both. Holy dog shit. Even steadfast Islam is beginning to remember from whence it came. Al-Uzza, the goddess of the morning and the evening star, war, fertility, and other ideas, she's beginning to shine again. Moses was depicted as having horns by Michelangelo and many others reminiscent of Pan because he led his people through the wilderness. Look it up. Moses with horns. It's everywhere. There are pagan symbols today that people will loudly proclaim, that's not a pagan symbol. The Vegvisir and other things, the Helm of all of these other things, these drawings, these bind runes, these images, these ideas. They'll sit there and tell you that their Vegvisir is not legitimate, and then they'll scratch out a bind rune that for all the world looks like something I doodled in math class in 8th grade and call it special. What? As if any of that matters. Even this cursory glance of this thing tells us one thing. These gods have sent us lessons in every imaginable form, symbol, and ceremony, each one palatable to the culture and the world they lived in. The goddess Pele, the goddess of fire from Hawaii, would have nobody could give a shit if they lived in the frozen north of the Arctic Circle and were celebrating Skadi or Ulu. Shaka Zulu would be clueless what to do with Teotihuacan or Quetzalcoatl. White Calf Buffalo Woman would be meaningless when they talk of Amaterasu. But they mean something to those people in that region, and it makes it special to them because they can identify with it and they can learn the lessons that go with it. Each one palatable to the culture and the world they live in. We should never lose the vision of what we are seeking in our attention to these ideas and concepts that have spanned time to coincide with the rise of man, even as we trust, or rather have faith, that the light will come on when we hit the light switch. Our lives are governed by any number of aspects of faith, that hopefully someone will be there to help, that we won't die alone, and that we will have loved, and that our children will prosper. That's what it comes down to. We might have a little success and a full belly along the way, maybe someplace to rest a weary back. When we begin to focus on the disparities of faith in all of its forms, perhaps even pointing out the most hideous aspects of existence, we shortchange ourselves. We do so in the way a grammar Nazi might attack any of the ancient sources because the words in which it was written is not grammatically correct. I'll tell you right now, I was told a long time ago, Bryan, you need to edit your books better. Somewhere along the way, I had a man point out to me, tell me, he said, listen, he said, people are talking about grammar, right? He said, go try to read the Bible. Talk to me of grammar then. I thought about it. The same mentality of those gatekeepers is the same mentality of people that will point out, your grammar sucks. You need to write this better. In some cases, I legitimately do. But the occasional typo is not the kind of thing we need to throw out the baby with the bathwater. That tells me right there, that person is looking for any kind of reason to not pay attention to what's being said. Oh, well, I don't have to listen to that because that one thing there was wrong. I don't need to pay attention to this. And see, that's the issue with all of this is that instead of focusing on the message of the idea behind everything, there's a neat little trick we like to play, our ego likes to play, in that Since we have found fault, we did not pay it any heed. When I see someone hop on there and say, "You're not a Viking," well, who gives a fuck what you think? Yeah, that symbol, I've had people argue with me. That symbol, that's not a pagan symbol. That's something else. I don't know what it started out as, but I can tell you what it means today. I can tell you what it's tattooed on millions of heathens around the world, and they all believe it means something to them. It means a Viking compass. It means they'll never lose their way. It's something they have faith in. It's something they believe in. So guess what? Just like the cross became a Christian symbol, that symbol has become something else. It causes me no end of frustration to watch gatekeepers say, "Well, you can't do that." To watch the uninspired and the uninitiated assume authority over things they really have no understanding of, and to call it good. To put an adjective in front of their spirituality and say, "Well, this adjective in front of my spirituality means I know a little something better than you do." It's reminiscent of the great turkey beard revolution of the 90s, when every fat son of a bitch living in his mother's basement decided, "Well, I understand the heathen worldview because I've read Sophist Boog, and because really it's frigates and freights and aspect." And how dare you? How dare anyone step up and say, "You're not doing it right"? How dare anyone say, "You know what? I read this and it really doesn't mean what you think it means." Take a look at what's happening to the runes. You can look what Edred wrote all those years ago, and you can take it with a grain of salt if you want. You can look at what I've written, and you can take it with a grain of salt if you want. One way works and one way doesn't. I will say that. And then compare it to what's being said anywhere on social media, anywhere in the world. All manner of attributes are being assigned to these symbols from out of fucking left field. Is any one of us qualified to put a gate on that and say that's not what it means? I don't think so. If that's a symbol that someone believes in, and they put forth that idea, and it begins to resonate with the community, and it begins to grow into something more, and it begins to demonstrate that it has power and authority, that it has the reasonable idea that it's changing a person's life for the better. How do I have the authority to come in there and say, "Hey, you're really fucking all that up"? That's not really what it means. Even though I know in my heart that what I see about what I think is better than that, right? I would love to get on a soapbox and talk to people about how to do this or how to do that, how the uninspired and the uninitiated might step forward. It's like a fat man telling you how to lose weight. It ain't going to work, right? Just do more exercise. Yeah, six-pack starting in the kitchen, buddy, right? In saying that, I can tell you right now, there's probably not going to be a time in the given future that you see a six-pack on me, because I give a fuck, right? I have to say that I remember a time in my life when I was adamant about being right about so many things, but and maybe that's part of what I'm talking about tonight. The gatekeepers, the jump on there. "You're not a Viking," and just it activates my ego to watch their ego blow up and get all this attention, and the mind doesn't get shit. Right? That's what it really is. But by the same token, if we want to be real, if we want to be legitimate, if we want to build a legitimate faith and spirituality, there should be some consistency. But it's not any of our job to do that, unfortunately. Everybody rails at the idea of an asapope. "Oh, you can't tell us what to do." Fiercely independent, following our own path, spiritually divided on any number of issues or ideas. Right? Yet not seeing that we are all on the same path. Not understanding that it's all coming from the same well. It is regrettable that in many instances, individuals will identify or interpret these things in the manner that they have to do the least amount of change. That they continue to drink and act and feast and sport with the maids at dusk like a Viking, not knowing they look more like a fool. But in my life, the only thing I think we could ever really do is continue to powerfully set that example and say, and when they say, hey, I want something you have working in my life, you can explain it in succinct, legitimate, intelligent terms. And that must be followed with the idea that this individual needs some kind of help. That this individual who is asked may truly and well be ready to understand, comprehend, and grow. They may be willing to try and live a life that helps them. It might only work for that much of their life. And then they'll figure something else out, takes them the rest of the way. The process of the humility of tackling those gatekeepers and understanding that, look, guys, it's going to change. No matter what you fucking think about it, no matter how much it's dragging you down, no matter how much you think it's bullshit, wrong, this ain't going to work, they're wrong, they're going to fail, they probably will. And next week, it'll be something entirely different. Wouldn't we all love to get tied up in the mental gymnastics of having to deal with the self-important, those individuals that are engaged in that kind of polite character assassination? Cracks me up. People on just more than willing to assassinate my character and then use what I've written as their own material. I see them do it every day. Every day. Good. I hope it works for somebody. I hope it does something miraculous in their lives. Good. I hope it goes out there and does all kinds of wonderful ideas. Because much of it was original thought. I've been blessed with that. Now, could I possibly position myself to be that grand gatekeeper? Yep. I could get out there and raise 7 levels of hell about every dumb son of a bitch that says, well, I'm focused, therefore I know a little bit more about this than you do. My spirituality is more powerful because I have this advocate. Or somebody that's universalist. Well, I believe it's the All Father, not the Some Father, right? The whole idea of the well, let everybody come in, that powerful remnant of Christianity they're not even aware of. Or the Odinist, as you just replaced Yahweh with Odin, is still practicing the same manner. Such powerful ideas that inspire a man's soul. And then the next thing you know, we're lost, not in the spiritual path of growth, but in the idea that I'm more right than he is because I understand something he don't. Not one of tolerance or understanding or acceptance or coaching. And coaching is the best thing that can be we can be for each other right now. I'm not real sure about it. I tried it this way and it did this. That's what it's really got to be about. Because if you read Beneath the Sacred Tree, and I really hope that everyone that watches this video has bought the book Beneath the Sacred Tree, it goes over all of those things. Everything that's been written has been written before, and probably written before that, and probably taken from somewhere else. It's the same message. When you understand that it was a goddess or a woman, a feminine, that brought life to not only Jesus of Nazareth, but to King Arthur, to Buddha, and then gave them the weapons by which they could defend their spirituality, their faith, their nation, their culture, provide enlightenment and guidance for the world. How did we miss that? How did we fail to comprehend that as men? Well, we're manly men doing manly things. That's goddamn right. Life is hard. Let's see. Somebody's got a comment. This ought to be good. I've been messaged. I've been summoned, as it were. Nope. Just grunt style trying to sell me a hoodie. Damn it. I thought it'd be something spiritual. I thought it'd be some amazing, miraculous revelation. Nope. So when we want to position ourselves, when I want to position myself as gatekeeper, when I want to tear these guys a new asshole for being dumber than a sack of cat meat, I got to remember something as simple as that to bring me back down to reality. Just like Shanae says there, first thought wrong. Well, she's got a point to some extent. Your first thought typically can be wrong. Very hard to not trust your gut, though. But the reaction to any given stimulus is given to us by training. How we've viewed the world, how we've seen the world, how this has happened, how that has happened, how everything is gone. And everything about our interactions with everybody's cultivated that, including our spirituality. It has been cultivated in a largely Judeo-Christian world. Yes, I would love that there would be a dividing line, a great line in the sand that said, on this side, you can safely call yourself also true to the faith and the old gods, true to the old gods, however you want to do it. Or Norse pagan, if you're kind of a coward, or heathen, or because if you don't, there's all kinds of things you want to make fun of about it. But if we could definitely put a line on the sand and say, okay, once I step over this line, I'm thoroughly fucked about that, but I'm over here and I'm going to be good. Some powerful revelation of life in the world is going to happen, and there'll be some ceremony, and I'll see a sign that tells me I'm on the right path. The truth about the signs is this. That is your first clue that you're beginning to live in a world that you were born in like our ancestors did. How they understood the world around them, how they made themselves a part of the world that they lived in, not separate from it. Which is so much of what the Abrahamic faiths tried to do. I would love to be the gatekeeper of that line in the sand. Or would I? Because people show up here in all different ways. This guy just got out of prison. He may have stabbed a man in the face because the guy was trying to beat him up in a bar. Did 10 years. Oh, nope. You probably can't come in here. It's a little scary. This guy just got back from the service in Afghanistan yesterday. He shot a 15-year-old boy in the face because he had a rocket launcher. And then the next day he's at home hugging his mom. Whoa. We're not real. You're a little bit unsteady right now. You're not really right. And then here's somebody that's just a regular person that works at a 7-Eleven, has all the accoutrements and doesn't really take his. Oh, you come on in. Come on in. Why, we could never do that. The truth about the line in the sand is it's never going to exist. Because inasmuch as those ancient pagan symbols, ideas, and ceremonies morphed into something that could be used against people to keep them in control, those same things are going to bleed off into our paganism, into our new opening of life and spirituality. It's simply going to be an opening of the doors of the church to let us back out into the world. That's what we're really looking at here. There's no one that can stand in that door. There's no one that can say, you can do this or you can't do that. Who the fuck do they think they are? Yes, it's going to branch out in 1,000 different ways, just like a tree, just like the stars in the night sky and the sands on the beach. It's going to spread out, and it will be as different and as powerful as every wave in the fucking ocean. But it's going to come out of that door, and it's going to carry some of those markers. Oh, that's too Christian. Where do you think they got it from? See, all of this that's changing, all of this that's coming, it's so revolutionary, we can't imagine what it's going to be like. How dare somebody stand up and say, well, you're not a Viking. And so what? if they want to dress up like that and walk down the street and let everybody laugh at them, but in their hearts they feel like they're on the right path, that they're going somewhere, that they're becoming something, that they have a standard they can follow that they hadn't had before, that all of a sudden they've got a path they can walk. They can walk proudly. I feel like I'm something because I'm wearing these clothes. Good, motherfucker. Wear them clothes and step on into the light and do what you need to do. Somebody comes out of prison. Come on in here. He's got his head down, beaten. Ain't got a fucking thing to his name, right? Stepping on in, trying to find someplace to fit in and belong. Someplace that's fucking safe for fucking once, right? Come on in here, right? I don't give a shit what he's wearing. I don't give a shit what he's done. As long as he's acting like a man in front of me, we're going to treat him like a man, right? Same thing for the soldier. Hearts broken in 1,000 fucking places. Both of them are alone as shit, right? If they want to put on a Viking hat or wear a Vegmasir tattoo, go for it. Whatever it takes to get that path moving forward, to find that way that you can once again feel like you're returning home, that you can feel like you're welcomed by your ancestors, so you can feel like, son of a bitch, this is going to work this time. If there's a new way, I better try it. It's going to better work this time. Thank you, Megadeth. Hell yeah, all of a sudden it's here. I don't know what it meant, but they put it in a song and it became something. Now all of a sudden we're living it, we're trying it, and there's dickheads everywhere. So, well, you can't do it. Go fuck yourself. I don't care how you want to do it. Do it. Find something to believe in. Find something to grab a hold of. And I don't care if it's by your fingernails you're hanging on for dear life for whatever reason. Maybe your thought process has been so fucked up by every parent, lover, child, church, whatever it has been in the world. All of a sudden, there's one thing you can hang on to. I will not let anyone take that. That is part of my job as far as I'm concerned. No, you don't get to fuck with that person's faith. Yeah, I'll take that role in a heartbeat. Hell yeah, I'll carry that load, right? Every one of us got to man up we got to bear up under the load. Shit, man, that's what it means. Prometheus, Jesus carrying the cross, all of these great things. Thor being confused, wrestling the Midgard serpent. Everyone was terrified. He didn't even know what he was doing, but he was giving it hell. We're in the same boat. We've been befuddled, confused, and bamboozled by all manner of bullshit, and we're wrestling with these great things, and people are afraid because all of a sudden they know what we're struggling with, and we're winning. We're stepping up to the plate. We're becoming something more. Leaders of business, small business owners, good men, good women, powerful children. All of these great things are happening. I will not let somebody say, well, you've made it this far, but that's wrong. Fuck you. Go back to pay. Don't pass go. Go away. Right? The evidence of the power of our faith ought to be in the success we exude in this world, the confidence we have when we walk down the street. It's so alien. When I walk into a room, I can feel people notice me walk into a room. And it ain't because I'm a big dude either, right? But it's alien to them. Brian's conceited. Brian's arrogant. Yep. I know what I'm capable of. I have made it through some of the toughest training the Army has to offer. I've been through some situations that make other men shit their pants. I have done some amazing things in this world. I want everybody to be able to feel that. That's why I fucking do this every Sunday night for free. I want everybody to be able to feel that same way. I want everybody to be able to tap into that same kind of passion I just demonstrated at a moment's notice to fight for something they fucking believe in. Because looking around us, all of a sudden, we haven't had much to fight for, to believe in. We haven't had much to stand up against. We've had vague and nebulous enemies taking cheap shots, pot shots, threatening our children, threatening our future, threatening our cultures, threatening our nation, threatening our faith, our spirituality, all of these vague, nebulous threats on this powerful thing called the internet. And we haven't known who to fight. We haven't known who to stand up against. We haven't known what it means to stand up and become somebody and our fucking voices be counted. And then all of a sudden we finally get to a certain point where we can be that way and we can stand up like men and we've made it down the path and we've become to accomplish something. We got people that love us again. We're setting a standard and some dickhead comes along and says, well, that's not really what you think it means. Well, it's worked to get me this far. And I'll thank you very much to not try to fuck with it because it's a part of my life. Everybody understand what I'm trying to say? There's a lot of things I say and a lot of things I believe. And I will discuss anybody. I'll discuss any of this stuff with anyone because I want to know how you've made it in life thinking like that. Because I might need it too. I might need to understand what that means. I got some things still hurt me all the time. I might need some help with that. Come on with it. Share what you got. Let's see where it works. Let's see how it rolls. If it works and I can tie it in there, fuck yeah, we're going to do it. If it don't, I'm not calling you stupid. I want to say thank you. Go on about your way. That's life, folks. Now, how do we cultivate that kind of passion, that kind of belief, that kind of strength, that kind of deep-seated faith in these individuals that we love and that we care about and want to see them move forward and do well? We stay the course. And we'd be willing to make modifications should some asshole happen to be right. But I don't think we should ever strive to steal something from somebody when they've made it as far as they have. Because everybody's trying. Everybody's dealing with something. Everybody's giving it their best. Everybody's struggling against something. And if the only thing they can hold on to is some fucked up idea from some goddamn 90s bullshit and it helps them move forward, or some absolutely made up nonsense on the runes, well, maybe I just need to keep my mouth shut and let them show me how they do it. Seems to me like that might be the finer part of wisdom. What do y'all say? Anybody got any comments, thoughts, questions, concerns? Is Bryan insane? Yes. Also out of nicotine. And we will be doing a Zoom call tonight. If I can get that stupid shit set up right. For those members of my Patreon and the Gothi program, yes, we will be doing a Zoom call. I will post it. Post-hick. I know that sounds like a lot of nonsense, but if anybody's got anything they want to add to it, I am all ears. Yep. The door. Oh my gosh, Jeremy, that is perfect. That's really good. That's brilliant. Everyone is wandering through life, and our doors should be open to the wanderer. Yeah. Yes. And it might look like nothing we never understood. We might be something we've never seen before. We could be. Yeah, that's exactly what we need. That's a hell of a thing. That's a good one. Good on you, Jeremy. I appreciate that. So I'm going to go ahead and get off here. Anybody got anything else? I appreciate everybody showing up here on Sunday night and listening to me go off the deep end. I got a really good feeling about this one. Tomorrow's Monday, and for all you poor schmoes that have to work, go out there and grab it by the nose and whip its ass. As for me, I've started 37 different damn craft projects because it's 35 degrees below outside, and I need something to do. So I'll take my tomorrow off. I'll get me a workout in, take the kid to school, and celebrate life. And if anybody has anything or they need anything, do not hesitate to reach out to me. I will talk to you and send me a text, shoot me a message, call me. I'll be happy to help. Just give me a shout. And everyone have a great, great week. Short week. Thank you.